My wife Shannon was undergoing IVF. On the day of egg retrieval, shortly after the procedure began, the surgeon stormed out of the operating room and confronted me. "You knew your wife was having surgery today. How could you have had sex with her last night?" I was stunned. We hadn't been intimate for over 5 months since starting IVF. The accusation hit me like a thunderbolt. My ears rang as the doctor tried to return to the OR. I stopped her, protesting weakly. "I didn't. Don't lie to me." She snapped. "Just yesterday we had a patient who hid her cold symptoms. She developed bronchospasm and airway obstruction during anesthesia, still in ICU. I've seen enough lying patients and relatives to last a lifetime." The surgeon, a woman in her 40s, clearly thought me another selfish jerk who couldn't control his urges. Desperate, I blurted out, "I'm a doctor too. I know better than to have sex during ovarian stimulation cycles. What evidence do you have?" Her tone softened slightly. "During ultrasound-guided retrieval, we found all her follicles had already ruptured. We couldn't collect a single egg." My heart sank. IVF was supposed to be our last hope after years of failed attempts. The grueling process, tests, hormone injections, egg retrieval, embryo transfer, and we'd failed at the first major hurdle. But spontaneous ovulation can happen from exercise, stress, even bike riding. I argued weakly. The trigger shot was supposed to prevent this. She gave me a pitying look. Her vaginal walls and cervix showed significant edema and petechial hemorrhages. Combined with the failed trigger shot, we believe there was recent vigorous intercourse. "Of course, you should discuss this with your wife." The irony choked me. Shannon had been neurotically cautious since starting treatment. "No sex," she'd insisted, mimicking her fertility specialist. "What if we somehow conceive naturally during hormone therapy? The conflicting hormones could ruin everything." I'd tease her about being such a rule follower, and she'd melt against me murmuring, "Only for you, doctor." She'd started walking like a porcelain doll after beginning injections, though I kept urging her to live normally. Now they claimed she'd risked everything for reckless passion? Impossible. The failed procedure ended early. They wheeled out Shannon, still groggy from anesthesia, even pale and makeup-free. She looked ethereally beautiful. I studied her face, remembering our first meeting. We'd been set up on a blind date. I arrived 2 hours late after emergency surgery for a postoperative bowel obstruction. Previous dates would have left in fury, but Shannon simply smiled and handed me lemon water. That quiet grace had captivated me from the start. Her understanding nature immediately warmed my heart. What's more, she perfectly aligned with my aesthetic preferences, her figure accentuated by a black bodycon dress, rosebud lips glistening temptingly. As an art instructor, she embodied both beauty and romance, fulfilling nearly every ideal I held for a life partner. One could say I fell head over heels at first sight. We married 3 months into our relationship. Initially, we adopted a laid-back approach about having children. Yet after a year without pregnancy, my medical training alerted me to potential fertility issues. "We need testing to identify where the problem lies." I insisted when she resisted, comforting her, "Whatever we find, we'll address it. Knowing will ease your mind. Stress reduction aids conception." On the eve of fertility testing, she tearfully confessed her college first love had resulted in an ectopic pregnancy, requiring removal of one fallopian tube. Doctors said conception remains possible with a single tube. She sniffled. "I should have told you earlier, but I feared you'd leave me." Her vulnerability awakened my protective instincts. "We all have pasts," I reassured her, moved by her pledge of complete detachment from her ex. She even offered to delete Dan's contact. Though I declined, after all, I still kept my own first love's number. Another year passed without success. When Shannon proposed IVF, I hesitated, preferring natural conception. Yet her resolve hardened. Delaying will only prolong the ordeal. Let's proceed decisively. My heart ached imagining her discomfort. But she nuzzled against me. The pain would be worthwhile if it's for you. Her playful kiss as she declared, I'd rather be your devoted wife than some strong, independent woman from novels, melted my resistance. I handed her our savings card without hesitation. If she endured the physical toll, financing it became my duty. Remarkably, she maintained her vivacity throughout the IVF process. Unlike others' reported struggles, last night, when I offered to swap shifts to accompany her for today's egg retrieval, she declined. Your presence would stress me. Now discovering her midnight betrayal, fury wars with calculated restraint. As her husband, I won't grant easy divorce. She must face consequences. Scouring her phone reveals no suspicious chats. Not even with Dan, whose recent birthday message she ignored. His family vacation photos received no engagement. Whoever shared her bed last night remains unknown. But instinct whispers it wasn't her first love. My head throbbed as I tried to figure out, who the hell was that man? Before I could make my next move, Shannon stirred with weak moans. Fresh from surgery, her pale face twisted with pain as her first groggy question emerged. Luke, how many eggs did they retrieve? Her priority shocked me. I hesitated, fingers tightening around the hospital bedsheet. Shannon clutched my sleeve with surprising strength. Luke, tell me. I studied her taped hand before answering coldly. None. 0 viable eggs. Tears spilled down her cheeks. But I didn't reach to wipe them this time. Let her cry. Let her squirm. She suddenly sat upright, smearing mascara across her face. I need to confess something. My pulse quickened. Here it comes, the affair admission. Yet her next words stunned me. Last night, I used my vibrator. The monitor beeped rhythmically as she continued. The cramps started minutes later. I thought, maybe the stimulation caused early ovulation. Bullshit. I crossed my arms. The surgeon found vaginal abrasions and cervical trauma. Care to explain those? Instead of cowering, Shannon glared through teary eyes. That quack accused us of having sex? I'm filing a complaint. Her indignation almost sounded genuine. I caught her trembling wrist. You're claiming a sex toy caused internal injuries? Check the nightstand drawer. Her voice cracked. The purple one, still there with dried lube. My medical training warred with her convincing details. Could friction from that really mimic intercourse injuries? The timeline matched. She'd complained of cramps at breakfast. Shannon collapsed against pillows, sobbing. Call me stupid, reckless, whatever. But don't you dare accuse me of cheating. The heart monitor's steady blips filled my silence. Her story held disturbing plausibility. Had I misread the clinical signs? Or was this the most elaborate lie she'd ever crafted? Though it wasn't the same hospital, we belonged to the same healthcare system. Filing complaints under these circumstances made no sense. I quickly stopped her. Shannon's tears fell faster. Luke, trust is the foundation of marriage. If you truly don't believe me anymore, we'll divorce after I recover. Damn it. Her vulnerable sobs stirred my pity again. What if the surgeons really framed her? Yet doubts remained. Why didn't you call me during the emergency last night? She sniffled and lightly punched my chest. You were on duty. I couldn't make you abandon patients. As a doctor's wife, I know better. She wiped her eyes. I was naive, thinking nothing bad would happen in minutes. Someone once said men choose denial about wives' infidelity unless confronted with irrefutable proof. I used to mock this willful blindness. Now I understood. I'd rather believe her foolish than unfaithful. Her phone rang. Her parents were arriving. Shannon pleaded. This is too embarrassing. Please tell them it was an accident. I agreed. Her mother stormed in, scowling. My poor baby suffered so much. More than suffered pointlessly. The egg retrieval failed. But ovarian stimulation had caused ascites requiring 3-day hospitalization. I excused myself to return to work. Marrying a doctor. My mother. In-law slammed drawers while packing. Where's he when needed? Mom. Enough. Shannon protested. The woman planted hands on hips. He abandoned you last night. Now running off again. Am I wrong? I left without responding. Instead of returning to the hospital, I drove home sobered. Shannon's story felt half true. Had she cheated? Evidence first. At our complex's property office, I checked vehicle logs. Her car never left. I called a buddy with police access. Check hotel registrations for this ID. He hesitated. But isn't Shannon doing IVF? Just check. Results came in 10 minutes. No hotel records. So she stayed home? Something felt off. She could have taken taxis. Our home security cameras had broken last month. I ransacked the house. No unfamiliar condoms. No men's underwear. No incriminating diaries. Nothing. Yet intuition screamed deception. Then I remembered one unexplored avenue. Should I check? I had to. I couldn't sleep without checking. I called a buddy Shannon had never met, who deliberately bumped his car into hers at the parking lot. My friend immediately called her claiming it was accidental. Gotta admit, Shannon stayed remarkably calm. Though hospitalized as her husband, I expected her to call me first. Instead, her father showed up. Turned out she'd asked her dad to handle it. Mr. Johnson looked startled seeing me, but I prepared excuses. The property manager called me too, so I rushed back after settling things. My buddy kept bowing apologetically, my fault entirely. I'll cover all repair costs and compensation. I smoothly took the car keys from Mr. Johnson. Go comfort Sean at the hospital. Dad, I'll take her car to the dealership. On the road, Shannon called. I smiled. She screamed through tears telling me not to bother. Just go to work. I replied calmly. Took personal leave to distract myself by fixing my wife's car. Her voice cracked. Why's everything going wrong this year? Did we offend the universe? I soothed her. Let me handle this. You focus on recovering with Mom and Dad. She sniffled agreement before hanging up. Parking the car. I checked the dash cam, wiped clean. Interesting. The glove compartment yielded tissues, masks, lipstick, but nothing useful. The trunk storage box held parking permits, gas cards, sunglasses, and an unfamiliar brown bag with dangling padlock. Inside sat a pink iPhone. Strange, since Shannon's current phone's white. The device powered off. After several failed attempts, the lock screen warning appeared. Not worth triggering alerts yet. Cold realization hit. I'd forgotten to check her laptop earlier. Returned home to find it password protected too. 3 failed guesses. Bitter laughter escaped me. Never knew my wife guarded against me like this. Her lies echoed. Bathroom struggles. Innocent toy use. Every word now reeked of deception. But with such meticulous thinking and cautious actions, who was Shannon willing to risk everything for on the eve of her egg retrieval surgery? Shannon called to ask about her car repairs. Suppressing my anger, I told her it had been sent to the dealership. The damage wasn't severe. It would be fixed within a week. Don't even think about driving lately. Just focus on recovering. I said. Perhaps my tone didn't match that of a betrayed husband, because she audibly relaxed. My decade-old laptop had charging port issues, something I'd complained about at home multiple times. Seizing the opportunity, I borrowed her laptop under the pretext of urgently revising my grant application. After brief hesitation, she reluctantly shared her password. Finally, luck favored me. Upon startup, the Dashcam Cloud app automatically logged in without requiring credentials. She'd clearly forgotten to sign out last time. Scrolling through files, I discovered irrefutable evidence of my wife's infidelity. The latest cloud file showed her car never left our gated community, ultimately parking in the remote villa section, an area with exorbitant pricing and low occupancy where I'd expressly forbidden her from wandering alone at night for safety reasons. Yet there she was, meeting her lover for nocturnal activities in the vehicle. Hearing my wife's coquettish giggles intertwined with her lover's husky whispers left me reeling. I'd speculated about potential affair partners, her first love, an old classmate, the gym instructor, even the delivery guy. None compared to the gut-punch reality. Vic, my most trusted mentor, the colorectal surgery chief at our hospital, and my current supervisor. Frankly, all men fear being cuckolded. But which cuts deeper, your wife sleeping beneath your station, or climbing above it? At that moment, my consciousness seemed to detach, floating above my physical form. You're terrible. I've got surgery tomorrow. Her recorded voice teased. Vic's gruff response followed. Little minx, I had to see you before the long dry spell. Shannon's conscience flickered. Doesn't this betray Luke? Smacking kisses echoed before Vic countered. What he doesn't know won't hurt him. Did you like the purse I got you? It's gorgeous, but too expensive to wear around Luke. Men don't know designer brands. Just say it's a $300 knockoff. Their escalating physical sounds, his grunts, her breathy cries, drove me to grip the desk edge. That bastard physician knew the medical risks but prioritized thrill, seeking over professional ethics. This wasn't just betrayal, it was humiliation. Forcing composure, I copied all cloud files to a USB. Discovering her still logged in WeChat proved serendipitous. God clearly favored the vigilant. Their extensive chat history revealed the affair's duration. Turns out Vic had coveted Shannon since her first visit to my department during our courtship. He'd later exploited his daughter's art lessons as pretext to connect with her through my own recommendation. Initially uninterested, Shannon succumbed to Vic's calculated courtship, procuring original artworks from famous painters, limited edition sculptures, even a $150,000 antique edition of Dream of Red Mansions now gracing our marital bed. Every cherished treasure in our bedroom suddenly reeked of deception. These luxuries that money can't easily buy completely shattered her emotional defenses. She felt he understood her profoundly, almost like a soulmate. After deciding to undergo IVF, feeling depressed, she took the initiative to seek comfort from Vic. He finally got his opportunity. During a weekday, when Vic was on vacation while I worked overtime, the two succumbed to their filthy desires in Shannon's art studio. The most infuriating part happened yesterday afternoon when Vic hypocritically asked me while clocking out, "Your wife's about to have surgery. Why are you still working?" Like a fool, I told him not to worry and that I'd hold down the fort, only for him to immediately contact my wife afterward. I rushed to the bathroom and vomited. My spouse and my mentor both betrayed me in the vilest way. I'll not only divorce them, but ruin their reputations completely. Just then, my phone rang, Vic's call. I splashed water on my face, steadied my breathing, and called back. Vic asked, "Did the surgery go well?" I replied, "Not exactly." During the procedure, they discovered my wife had carelessly ovulated prematurely. No eggs were retrieved. Vic sounded shocked. "No way?" As if he didn't know. I suppressed homicidal urges while requesting 2 days off. He pretended to understand, advising me to stay positive and that good things take time. His hypocrisy made me nauseous again. I used to be such a fool, covering for him when patients complained about his surgical mistakes. And this is how he repays me? Shannon also called, nervously asking if I'd finished using the computer. Playing along, I told her I'd completed my work and would come to the hospital immediately. I warned myself not to act rashly. With tensions high, they'd be extra vigilant now. I needed to wait for their guard to drop before striking. Having decided, I contacted a computer science friend to plant spyware in Shannon's laptop. He delivered remotely. Now I could monitor her every digital move. Returning to the hospital, I found Shannon's father had left while her mother remained. I insisted the elders rest tomorrow, claiming I'd take full responsibility for Shannon's care. Her mother left with grudging approval. That night, I gently rested my hand on Shannon's abdomen, asking if she felt pain. Blushing with guilt, she whispered it only felt slightly swollen. Nestling against me, she anxiously confessed, "The doctor said we can't restart ovarian stimulation for at least 2 months after this failure." I soothed her, "Why rush? Let your ovaries recover first." Sniffling, she said, "This was my mistake. I want to try again sooner to make it right." Internally scoffing at her mistake, I feigned concern. "Having children isn't that important to me. Let's stop this IVF torture. We can remain child-free." Shannon immediately objected. "No. Other women succeed. I will too." Patting her shoulder, I asked if she'd been pressured. She tearfully revealed, "Your mother called earlier. She prepared $40,000 for the best postpartum care center once I stabilize a pregnancy." I failed her. I comforted her while nearly laughing aloud. My mother had followed my suggestion perfectly by making that outrageous call. The best postpartum care center? Let them keep dreaming. Dream on. For the next month, I kept my cool and secretly monitored Shannon's every move. After behaving herself for over a week, she proactively contacted Vic. "This is all your fault. Vic, I told you to be gentle last time, but you wouldn't listen. Now my follicles released prematurely." She even added a blushing emoji. Vic didn't hold back either, pretending to pity her fragility. "Maybe I'm just jealous. Jealous that Dan gets such an amazing woman willing to risk everything to bear his child." After a long pause, Shannon replied, "Dan's so boring. I'm worried our baby would inherit his personality anyway, since I'll need IVF regardless. Whose sperm really matters? Don't you always say you regret only having 2 daughters with your wife who's too old for more? What if I secretly carried your child?" 3 blushing emojis followed. Eventually Vic responded, "How?" Modern society's version of switching royal babies turned out to be swapping sperm samples. Their plan had 2 parts. First, use Shannon's previous failed egg retrieval as excuse to switch from public hospital protocols to a private fertility clinic with flexible ethics. Second, Vic would overload me with work while Shannon pushed me towards sperm freezing, simultaneously arranging for Vic to preserve his own samples. With generous bribes to clinic staff, they'd replace my sperm with Vic's during embryo creation. These messages were exchanged during our department's major surgery. Mid-operation, Vic had sneaked out claiming emergencies, leaving attending physicians like me to clean up. Little did I know his emergency was seducing my wife. I preserved every shred of evidence. Rage consumed me toward Shannon. While scheming against me, she overflowed with romantic obsession toward Vic. She even discussed embryo selection. "I desperately want to give you a son, Vic. After that, I'll find excuses to divorce Dan." Vic feigned concern, "But my wife hasn't wronged me. I can't leave her." "You don't need to divorce her," Shannon insisted. "Just keep loving me. Let this be your second family. Your daughters could have brothers to support them later." Vic's hypocritical reply, "This feels unfair to you." "Not at all. Pretending with Dan exhausts me. I'll claim postpartum depression and reproductive trauma to divorce him. He won't dare criticize me then." Reading these messages felt like having my heart gouged out and thrown into Arctic waters. First searing pain, then numbing cold. Despite my inner conflict these past weeks, Vic had mentored me since residency, guided me through countless surgeries, recommended me for conferences and advanced training. Shannon and I shared real history, genuine love. Did these 2 deserve utter destruction? Now I despised my earlier mercy. Show weakness, and you become the victim. Fate aids the determined. Colleagues complained about surgical supply discrepancies. Investigating, I discovered Vic routinely used domestic staplers during operations while billing for specialized imports. Tenfold price difference. Further audits revealed multiple instances of supply fraud. After learning about Vic's affair with my wife, I deliberately shadowed him closer. During drunken business dinners, I used his fingerprint to uncover kickback schemes with medical suppliers, inflating equipment costs borne by patients. His luxury gifts to Shannon, funded by embezzlement and bribery. You vicious bastard. I cursed silently. The monster bleeding patients tried to buy his mistress Prada bags. As for Shannon, I decided to go with the flow. Since she was willing to have a test tube baby for Vic without proper status, I let her have her wish. But she could forget about freely swiping my credit card anymore. 1 month later. First, I called the bank to report the loss of the card I'd given her. Then I went to the hospital's finance department to deactivate that card and register a new account number. Next, I approached Vic. Bro, I need to tell you something. If my wife asks about the salary card, tell her our hospital switched to annual pay and we won't get anything until year-end. Vic couldn't hide his surprise, but quickly composed himself. Why would your wife ask me about salary? We barely know each other. Your daughter takes art lessons from her, right? I'm worried she might casually bring it up if she sees you. Lowering my voice, I added, between us, I think Shannon might be seeing someone else. Vic gasped dramatically. Impossible. Weren't you two crazy about each other? Did you find proof? I made a pained face. No concrete evidence. She's actually quite naive. If she really cheated, probably not. But I feel her heart's not in this marriage anymore. Relaxing, Vic adopted a knowing expression and patted my shoulder. Let me give you some brotherly advice. Women need pampering. About the baby thing. Don't pressure her. Kids come when they're meant to. Maybe you'll conceive naturally if you both relax. I nodded earnestly, pretending to take it to heart. That card I gave Shannon, she couldn't withdraw a single cent now. True to form, Vic alerted her. Maybe we should lay low. Luke suspects you're having an affair. Shannon panicked. Does he know about us? Vic snapped. Of course not. He just thinks you're emotionally checked out. Since you're still with him, try acting more devoted at home. But I can't stand being with 2 men at once. Do it for me. Darling, I know your heart is mine. Shannon ate it up. Next morning, she unusually insisted I skip the hospital cafeteria and come home for dinner, saying we hadn't shared a meal in ages. I agreed, curious about her antics. Right on cue, Vic unusually urged me to leave work early, stop overworking. Go be with your family. What perfectly coordinated snakes. Opening our apartment door, I heard dreamy Japanese love ballads streaming through the rooms. The living room was empty. I pushed open the master bedroom door. There lay Shannon on snow-white sheets, wearing barely anything. The rest of her skin was artfully arranged with sushi pieces. Blushing, she whispered, "Husband, care for Japanese dinner?" Her subtle makeup highlighted porcelain skin and rosebud lips, creating an aura of innocent seduction. The effort was undeniable. I'll admit, for a few seconds, I felt the pull. Then Vic's face flashed in my mind. Questions erupted. Did they play this game too? Was this his idea? What other twisted scenarios had they enacted? My desire evaporated. Suddenly, her innocence looked cheap and practiced. Still, I gently said, "It's barely been a month since your surgery. You should rest." Not this. Shannon's eyes welled up with tears. "Don't you love me anymore?" "Of course I do." I lied, hating myself. "That's why I won't let you harm yourself to please me. Get dressed. I'll take you to the shopping mall for dining." Whether from failed seduction or genuine upset, Shannon picked at her food listlessly all evening. I clinked my glass against Shannon's. "What's wrong? You seem upset." She forced a bitter smile. "It's just, I don't even feel attractive to my own husband anymore." I casually replied, "Nonsense. I'm just worried about your health." Continuing the charade, I suggested. With my busy schedule, I feel guilty about not taking proper care of you. Why don't you stay with your parents for a while to recuperate? Shannon's eyes flickered. She visibly relaxed. We're on the same wavelength. I wanted to discuss restarting our IVF process soon while my test results are still valid. What do you think? I frowned, feigning reluctance. I've said this before, we could remain child-free. It's not worth compromising your health. Besides, my father recently borrowed $30,000 from me for a property purchase. Money's tight right now. The thought of being unable to bear her beloved brother a son panicked Shannon. She blurted, "We don't need your money. I have savings, and my parents will support us." So desperate to get pregnant that she'd pay her own way? I'd indulge her. If you're determined, remember to pay extra attention to your diet during the ovulation stimulation phase. Staying with your parents should help with home-cooked meals, though it'll inconvenience them. She waved off my concern, already brightening at the prospect of easier rendezvous with her lover. She chattered about amusing incidents from her art classes and reminded me to exercise for quality tadpoles. To maintain appearances, I transferred her $5,000 for living expenses at your parents'. She accepted without hesitation. Suddenly, she hesitated. "Honey, there's something else. That public hospital we used last time, I've had terrible luck there. What if we switch institutions?" "Which one?" I asked neutrally, when Shannon named a private clinic. My suspicions flared. Vic reportedly owned shares there, something I'd dismissed as impossible given his reputation. Now, it seemed plausible. Is it reliable? I pretended to waver. Should I ask around at work? There are other options. She shoved her phone in my face, displaying multiple web pages. No need. I've researched thoroughly. This is the one. It's my body undergoing IVF, shouldn't I decide? Amused by her agitation, I deliberately called Vic in front of her. "Hey Vic, my wife insists on this private clinic for IVF. Any insights?" Shannon's breathing quickened as she stuffed food into her mouth. Vic chuckled through the line. "Heard good things about that place. Need me to pull strings?" I played the doting husband. Personally, I'd prefer staying child-free, but my stubborn wife wants to prove herself. What can I do? After exchanging pleasantries, Vic concluded, "That clinic's solid. Let me know if you need help." Hanging up, I faced Shannon's anxious stare. "Vic says it's good. We'll go there. You're the best." Her smile stretched wide. I thought, "Keep smiling. Your time's running out. Soon enough, when the embryo's implanted. When Vic's work scandal erupts. When the trap springs, we'll see who's laughing." Shannon moved with military efficiency. Without hesitation, Shannon launched into another round of IVF stimulation cycles. Last time, I'd felt occasional pangs of sympathy watching her undergo fertility treatments. Now, I simply thought she deserved every bit of this self-inflicted torment. The woman was truly two-faced. Every blood test result and ultrasound image from the hospital got simultaneously forwarded to both Vic and me. Whether Vic felt overly secure in their relationship, was growing bored with her antics, or perhaps had found new distractions remained unclear. His recent recruitment of that statuesque graduate student certainly raised eyebrows. Vic couldn't stop singing praises about his new protege while becoming noticeably colder towards Shannon. Their chat logs showed frequent instances of him leaving her messages on read, responding only with terse acknowledgments when he bothered at all. Yet Shannon brushed this off, convinced his aloofness stemmed from jealousy. She'd sworn to him with theatrical sincerity, "There's nothing left between Luke and me. Remember when you urged me to take initiative? We didn't cross any lines. The only reason I'm staying married is to avoid the bureaucratic nightmare of single parenthood. I'll divorce him immediately after securing our child's birth certificate. I promise." I scoffed silently. The birth certificate would be irrelevant. Current laws might protect expectant mothers. but with solid evidence of adultery and DNA confirmation. Any spouse could petition for fault-based divorce and claim damages. When Shannon demanded I freeze sperm samples, I complied. After her relentless pestering, Vic eventually did the same. True to form, Shannon executed her gamete substitution scheme flawlessly. This cycle yielded multiple viable embryos successfully implanted in her uterus. Upon confirming her pregnancy, her first call went to Vic. I received the news secondhand. Bitter acid rose in my throat, even as I mechanically offered congratulations. Was this what they called unexpected fatherhood? I meticulously preserved every piece of evidence. Vic showed little enthusiasm about impending fatherhood, preoccupied with preparations for the upcoming statewide colorectal surgery annual conference hosted by our hospital. As one of 4 competing department heads vying for the soon-to-retire chief medical officer's position, this keynote speech represented his golden opportunity for professional advancement. True to his entitled nature, Vic delegated his presentation preparation to me. Naturally, I saved the juiciest revelations for the final version. On conference day, I handed him the loaded USB drive myself. Midway through his eloquent delivery, incriminating chat logs about kickback agreements with medical suppliers flashed across the auditorium screen. Vic froze like a deer in headlights before fumbling to shut down the display. The chief medical officer barked from the front row, "Leave it running. Let's see what else you've got." The next slide juxtaposed surgical footage using domestic staplers against billing records listing premium imported devices. The chief's face darkened. Any other surprises? Dr. Miller? Sweating profusely, Vic accidentally triggered an audio file during his panicked clicking. His smug voice echoed through the hall. Does every rectal cancer patient need Da Vinci robotic surgery? Of course not. But when you've got deep-pocketed patients, you emphasize precision and safety. They'll pay extra for the best care. That machine prints money the moment we power it up. I'd recorded this gem during one of Vic's boastful rants to his new graduate student, cleverly embedding it to auto-play upon any mouse click. The damning audio played to completion before anyone could intervene. As the screen finally went dark, the hospital director rose. Explain yourself. Dr. Miller, confronted with irrefutable evidence. Vic stammered incoherently. The director's voice shook with fury. We healers vow to uphold life above all. You've desecrated that sacred oath. Before the conference concluded that day, officials from the National Health Commission, disciplinary inspection authorities, and market regulatory departments arrived, exposed in front of everyone. Vic's professional reputation in the medical field was utterly destroyed. Worse still, his actions fell under the current crackdown on medical corruption. He would lose his medical license and face imprisonment. Vic was finished. No, I hadn't included his affair with Shannon in the presentation. This wasn't merely to avoid public humiliation among colleagues. Sexual misconduct carried less weight than ethical violations in our profession. The bombshell of their relationship needed to be reserved for Shannon herself. After learning of Vic's downfall, Shannon tossed and turned all night. The next morning, she became unusually affectionate, guiding my hand to her abdomen. Our baby. This is your daddy. Knowing she carried Vic's child turned my stomach. I gently withdrew. With Vic's situation, our department's overwhelmed. I need to go. Her emotional dependency deepened daily as her pregnancy progressed. Checking my calendar, I decided it was time. November 3rd, our anniversary. I suggested hosting both families for celebration. My recent aloofness had left Shannon anxious, and this proposal reassured her. She eagerly booked venues and ordered cakes, while I secretly coordinated with the event host to prepare a surprise love video. At the gathering, Shannon audaciously pressed my mother. When will I receive the promised reward? Forewarned. Mother coolly replied, after delivery. Prove it's a Thompson Air first. During the cake ceremony, I seized the microphone. With Shannon's pregnancy reaching 2 months, we celebrate double happiness. The screen initially showed wedding photos before abruptly switching to security footage, Shannon and Vic's car entanglement, complete with explicit chat logs. Shannon lunged for the controls. I blocked her. "You treacherous snake," she screamed. Her father slapped her. "This disgrace is your doing." Her mother countered. "Seeking superior genes isn't wrong." As Shannon wailed, "But he's imprisoned." Cake missiles flew from both families until police dispersed the brawl. The stress-induced miscarriage came days later. When I filed for divorce, Shannon threatened using remaining embryos. "You're still the father." I retorted, "Blastocysts allow DNA testing. Shall we?" The settlement favored me after mandatory cooling-off period. Vic's downfall continued as former students exposed his predatory thesis guidance practices. 6 months later, I became Chief Medical Officer of colorectal surgery. The position suited me perfectly. As for the leadership of the colorectal surgery department, it wasn't any of the previous division heads, but an externally appointed chief medical officer. I never understood the hospital administration's reasoning behind this decision. Nevertheless, this seasoned superior placed considerable trust in me, repeatedly hinting through official evaluations and casual conversations about grooming me for greater responsibilities. During this period, I was promoted to associate professor and appointed as a graduate advisor. When asked about my feelings regarding these advancements, I describe it as navigating a pressure cooker environment where intense competition coexists with professional motivation. The battle isn't won yet. There's still much work ahead. On the personal front, colleagues have become increasingly proactive about setting me up on dates. If I didn't politely decline, my schedule would be packed with blind dates from Monday through Sunday. Female students often approach me with wide-eyed admiration, addressing me as Professor Luke in sugary tones. Just yesterday, a student clutched her chest claiming potential viral myocarditis post-flu, demanding I perform a physical examination. I firmly refused, advising her to consult her primary physician while suggesting she improve her physical endurance if considering medical school. Another co-ed recently compared my white coat style to a Jacques Audiberti runway model, illustrating how professional attire can become unintentional temptation. I maintain strict professional boundaries. Whenever clinical duties require private consultations with female patients or staff, I position myself near open doorways and deliberately elevate my voice. As the saying goes, temptation is a dangerous game requiring constant vigilance. Regarding Shannon, she recently reappeared in my life after months of radio silence. I found her waiting outside my apartment complex one evening, clutching my sleeve with theatrical fragility, a manipulative tactic that once swayed me, but now only inspires revulsion. Her opening line made my skin crawl. "Honey, I donated all the embryos to the hospital's stem cell research program. This means Vic and I have zero connections now." I shook her off coldly. "First, this doesn't concern me. Second, we're divorced. Stop calling me husband." She pleaded, "Can't you see I'm contributing to medical science too? Give me another chance." Locking eyes with her, I stated, "If you think reconciliation is possible, either you're delusional or you think I am." I refused to play the fool. Turning away, I left her screaming desperate questions about second chances and rekindled love. My final response was a silent middle finger raised in contempt. Those who betray their vows forfeit any right to speak of love. As for my future relationships, I'll let fate decide.